I met a woman twice in my life, and the second time, she was a complete different person that I could barely recognize. Let me introduce you to, let's call her Liz. I will hide her name just for her privacy. I met her, I was in India. I was living my dream. I was doing a yoga teacher training in Kerala, beautiful Kerala, out of season. It was the monsoon time, and the good thing, I love to travel when it's low season because there is less tourists, and it was great. We were the only foreigners in town. It was called Varkala, such a lovely town. And Liz was my roommate. So we were both really committed to really dive into our inner self through the practice of yoga, through meditations. There was amazing teachers in the training. And the person I met, my roomie, was the most beautiful being. I could really see her soul, her innocence, her little joy, enthusiasm for life, her spirituality. She was also someone quite spiritual. Basically, I had the feeling that we met heart to heart. We really became super close. Really, it was a beautiful friendship that came out of this training. At the same time, I could sense that there was some shadows following her. She was actually living her Eat, Pray, Love stage. You know, the book from Liz Gilbert. I call my friend Liz, but she was highly influenced by Liz Gilbert, and I think she just came back from Bali, so she was doing Gilbert in the wrong order. Well, I think she started in Bali, was doing India, and I think after she was going to Italy, but I'm not too sure. After the training, she had to go back to her former life, to the USA, and myself, as an innocent French person, I was wondering, I was telling her, why do you have to go back to this life? Why don't you change completely your lifestyle? And she was telling me, you don't understand the amount of loans I have to pay every month. The student loan, she had to pay for the social security of herself and of her mom. She had a lot of pressure, financial pressure, and she knew she has no choice. She had to go back to a life of hardworking labor, and that was the way. Well, she eventually came back to the USA. I came back to my life after a little stop in ashram, in the Shivananda ashram in the middle of the jungle in Kerala. I went back to San Sebastian, Basque Country, Spain. She went back to New Jersey, and months later, she contacted me. She wanted to pay a visit, and she was again working, etc., 60, 70 hours a week. And she came to visit, and myself, I have a way more softer lifestyle where I don't work so many hours in comparison. I'll show you a little bit where I am right now. Quite pretty. And she came, and it was not the same person. I could recognize her, but as soon as I saw her, I think when you do yoga, you are quite sensitive as well to the movement of the eyes of the person, and her eyes were like just moving super fast with a lack of focus. And I could sense that her nervous system was wrecked. And yeah, she was just living in another rhythm. And I was quite sad to see that this person was not the same. She kind of lost her sparks. And I think the part that was the hardest for me is that she was making a bit of a big fuss out of all the lovely activities that I was offering, like going to this very restaurant in Biarritz. And I think she made what I call in French faire un scandale. She started to, I don't know, maybe a little thing was wrong in the order, but she started being, I think, quite rude with the waiter. And I was like, whoa. I was a bit shocked by this behavior. Speaking of Elizabeth Gilbert, that I really like, by the way, I really appreciate her as a public persona and as a writer. She mentioned, I listened to one of her podcasts, and she mentioned the expression of cherished expectations. And my theory to explain Liz's behavior, my friend's behavior, is that she works so hard. Her personal life is in standby all year round. And this very week of holidays was the moment where she could finally breathe. And so maybe she cultivated a lot of expectations. And if this very outing in the restaurant didn't fit her standard, because she was also quite healthy and had all those dietary standards, then she had to burst. She had to have a little crisis because that was not up to her expectations. And that made me realize that the people I work with, people who are about to move to France, you are often about to break the pattern of a life of workaholism, hard labor, a life of productivity, and you want to come to France for different reasons, but one of the reasons is that you want to discover maybe who is beneath all the layers that the society imposed to you. So yes, maybe moving abroad, retiring is not about finding the perfect place. I'm saying that, but I'm currently with the most amazing view. So it's a bit of a contrast. But yeah, maybe it's more about what is the place that will allow you to feel more like yourself. Speaking of that, I like to explore those stories because the territory is a question that I think it's like we all have like those kind of defining questions in our existence. And I think the question of the territory is a question that surrounds me. And that's why I interviewed Kim Mott. She's an astrocartographer. I'm not sure if you're open to the idea, but I'm not sure if I'm a true believer either, but I think it kind of brings interesting questions. I made an interview in 2 parts with her. Voila! I hope you enjoyed this new format. They call it yapping, when you just speak spontaneously while walking or while doing daily activities. And I just wanted to give you a little impression of where I am. La vue. L'horizon. Allez, je vous laisse. À bientôt. C'était Déborah.